Hi there and welcome to my presentation on sound design and composition and how to get into the industry. I've done quite a bit of research into it to figure out how to get into it, as it's a certain area that I'm really interested in and think I could possibly do in the future. So I hope you enjoy my presentation. So to begin with, what is a sound designer's role? Well, a sound designer's role, they are responsible for providing any required sounds to accompany screen action. They work closely with the production mixer, sound supervisor, editor and the director to create original sounds like Foley, for example, or to work on the vocals after recording if something doesn't sound quite right. They may work with the director to create also an entire soundtrack. That's why I've also added composition into this as well, as I've learnt throughout this, they are very connected and interchangeable. So most sound designers are experienced in sound for film, TV, but they're also experienced in music production as well. Usually they'll go from music production into sound design, and sometimes the other way around as well. But they usually have a specialised role in creating sound for the production. That's usually the main role that they do, but sometimes it can jump into composition as well. I'll explain a composer as well, as we are interchanging between the both. A composer is someone who writes and directs an original music or soundtrack for the film. They usually compose it on the computer, and sometimes they will send it to an orchestra, or they'll use pre-recorded live instruments to create the music ready for the film. It depends on the budget usually. So successful composers are versatile with effective collaboration skills. They can usually work on a variety of projects with the producers and musicians, and they also have a extensive knowledge of the industry, the same as a sound designer, as they need to really know how it works, otherwise they aren't able to keep to the deadlines and create what is necessary. So how do they actually cross both of these roles? From my research, I found that many sound designers and composers cross over in both fields, as they have a very close relationship when they work together. Sometimes it will be an individual person that will do both, depends again on budget. Both are expected to have a large knowledge of sound and music to be able to accurately create an atmosphere in the film. Even though the sound designer doesn't usually create a full music score, they can be sometimes required to create a short demo or example of some kind of music that would fit the sound design that they have created. So sometimes they'll be requested to do the whole music for it as well if they've already done a demo, and they feel comfortable in doing so. So sometimes it switches to both. And many sound designers will put together recordings of singers over a soundtrack to lessen stress on the composer, so they're already syncing up stuff for the composer in advance, because they work so closely anyway. They're usually talking to each other about it, or they are the person themselves. So where to start to get into the industry? From what I've read and learnt from people who actually work, it's usually you got to read, watch and learn. So if you're unsure, you just follow what's going on, to be honest, and usually you start from the bottom. You never start as a high sound designer. You'll be a lower second sound designer, sometimes a third, and you watch whoever's above you and learn from them. Obviously, if you've gone to university like us, you'll already know quite a lot, but you'll also still probably start in a third sound designer role or sound supervisor role. And practice does make perfect. The more you get wrong and the more you fail, the better you'll get after a while. Also, you have to get your portfolio started now. It's always good to have a portfolio before you start looking for work, because if you don't have a portfolio of sound, people aren't usually going to hire you, because they don't know if you actually are able to do the work yourself, or if you're just lying on your CV. So if you don't have a portfolio, you're not going to get hired. Have an online presence. I personally have found that an important point. due to, social media and, that's the way that a lot of sound designers and a lot of people in film actually find their work, is through the internet. So having a good profile, a website is very useful as well, business cards, show people that you're available, that you're willing, by just messaging. I find that if you message a lot of people or go on a lot of boards or sites on Facebook, LinkedIn, that kind of thing, you're more likely to get hired because there's more opportunities available, especially last minute opportunities. You can find a lot of those on social media, for example Facebook. LinkedIn's also quite good. Usually more for composers or musicians, they're better, but they also do sometimes have sound design, sound engineer roles available that you can try and go for, as long as, again, you have a portfolio and quite a full portfolio to show. Look out for opportunities. Again, kind of ties into the social media aspect of it. You really need to, watch online, look for things, look for things you probably weren't expecting, even if it's unpaid is better than nothing, as I will speak about later. And travel and meet people. I find personally that when I travel abroad, I've now got business cards to give to people, especially because I travel through large cities where you're more likely to find people who do film, for example Los Angeles and Denver and New York, JFK. Go through any of those airports, you will find someone who works in some kind of film area. Give out those business cards, give out your details if you don't have any. You have to meet people to be in the business, and that's one of the main things I've learned from my research. So my networking experience, I've actually interviewed many people, probably about 8 to 11, just by going on a Facebook group for professionals who are looking for work. I'll see where they've been recommended and I'll message them, and I just asked, do you mind doing an interview with me? I really would love to learn how you got into the industry and your challenges, and what you've really enjoyed and why and how you ended up in this role. So one of the people I actually met through travelling, as I mentioned before, is Christopher Allport. He is a composer and sound designer and owns his own business out of Los Angeles. So which is, he's a really lovely person. I learned a lot from him just sitting with him for an hour and a half in an airport, and then I did a really great interview with him where he gave me a lot of information about film, about sound design, how he got into it. Very interesting, really helpful. Then Stephen Honest, again, composer, popular music recorder, which is really interesting to hear as well. It goes from popular music into, composition for films. Very different areas, but at the same time they also connect. And he's been working in the sound industry for over 40 years. I also had a great interview with him, fantastic. I'll go more into what I learned from them all a little bit later on. Rob Kidd, composer and sound designer, works at Hammer & Spark Audio and Supermassive Games as a sound designer, so sound designer for games, not exactly film, but he has done film work in the past. Then I had Matt Charlo, composer. He's still in university but is also working for a charity doing some composing and sound designing for them, which I found very, very interesting. I don't think he's getting paid for it, maybe only a little, but it's more that it's very interesting to him, and he's getting a lot of experience out of it. So it's nice to hear something from someone who is getting work even though they're still in university. Then there was Mark Wind, fantastic composer. He's from abroad, does his work a lot through Facebook, but I'll go into that a little bit later. Also knows people from Cannes, also has worked for people who have got their films into Cannes, which is also great to hear, as he has a lot of knowledge from those people, and he's passed it on to me, which is fantastic. And then another one, Chris Davis, sound designer, works out of the UK, has been working in sound design for quite a while as well. But I've got so many more, it's just hard to talk about them all, so I've generalized it down into this next slide. So what did I learn? So I learned that the more people the more likely you'll find work. So networking is key, as I have put down on my PowerPoint. Networking is absolutely key. If you don't know people, you're not going to get hired, and a lot of them have said the same thing. You know, you've got to get in there, you've got to talk to people, you've got to make yourself known. If you don't, it's not going to happen. Sometimes unpaid is the way to go. Mark Wynn, the composer, said he's done a lot of unpaid work, but has added to his portfolio so more people know him and he's more likely to get paid work. And all of that was through social media, as he works from abroad, Germany, Austria. He's kind of around those areas, but he does a lot of work through that, and a lot of it can be unpaid at times, just to get himself out there. You have to be around the right people. One of the people I spoke to, he said that, at one point he felt like there was a lot of pressure coming from everybody, and he wasn't sure if he could do it, until one person just came up to him and said, "You can do it, you've got the skills, just go for it." Give it a go is a big, a phrase that they all say and have all said to me, is just give it a go. Even if you don't believe in yourself, just go for it, because usually, if it ends up great, brilliant, you've done a good job, you've got paid, fantastic. But if it doesn't go well, you can learn from it, learn from your mistakes, and not to do it again. Experimentation. Always experiment with different things, different sound designs, different, music. Just, again, give it a go. And then social media is a great tool, as I have mentioned, being on different sites, having a website, making your presence known, again, always very useful. The more people you know, the more work you're going to get. And it's all about luck. I've heard that from a lot of them, as they say it's all about luck, and just pushing yourself out there and hope that they'll choose you over somebody else. But it's also about what you know. Make sure you understand. Ask questions if need be, because it's going to be difficult at times. If you're not sure what they want from you, ask. That's one of the main things I believe either Mark Wind or Christopher said to me, is if you don't know, ask. It's not going to make you look like an idiot. You're more likely to get a better job done by knowing what they want from you. And everyone starts from somewhere, even if it's starting as a runner. And just getting yourself in there that way is better than nothing. Even if it's unpaid, just get yourself in there, get yourself known, because if they like you, they'll get you back. And that's usually the way it goes in the film industry and sound design and so on and so forth, and composing as well, for many different things. Next slide is more about, where am I most likely to get hired? Because obviously I'll be moving abroad. I wanted to make sure, that I'm moving to a place where I know work is currently available in audio and video equipment technicians. So, sound designers, stuff like that. So the main 5 places that are currently hiring are obviously California, because of LA, Hollywood, all that area. They're always going to have work available. That's what I've been told by a lot of the people who have based themselves there. There's always some kind of work, you just got to find it. New York, big cities. Texas, big city. Florida, big cities, and Nevada. They're all around the area that I'll be moving to, and Phoenix has an airport, and it's not far to get to any of them except for New York, really, but you can still fly there very cheaply and get there within 6 hours. So and Arizona to California, 5-hour drive, 1 hour and a half on a plane, so it's not a big deal. And if you live close to the border, it's even less time. So yeah, I'll be living nearer to where the places that I'm going to be hired. Arizona's still up there though. They still have quite a few jobs going, I believe between 690 and 1,440 jobs available. So that's still quite high. So it's still possible I'll find a job in Phoenix. And then the likely wages, the places that pay the most are actually, some of the places I'll be living next to. So, like California, obviously Nevada again. Arizona is also very high up on the list. It's in dark blue, so that means they pay the most, between $46,000 and $57,000. So, it's about £30,000 to £40,000, but obviously that's a really good wage, in the US. It's not bad, and obviously that's starting out, and you can get more as long as you keep working, work hard, and push yourself up. So yeah, the highest paying states: District of Columbia, New Jersey, Nevada, New York, and California. So next thing is, what is my plan? So my plan after finishing university is to go into human resources to start off with when I obviously move to Phoenix. So I'll get my 5-year plan. So for the first year, you know, finish my visa process as I'm going through that currently. I should get there, you know, I should get my visa at least by January or February next year, all going well. Then, you know, start networking with employers and, you know, people in the industry in California. Obviously, I already know a few. Christopher has also kindly offered me some work when I get out there if I want to, and he'll, you know, pay me some money to do some sound design or some, you know, typing out of songs, anything like that. And, you know, I've already really got some side work to do if I feel like it, so that's great as well. But I'd love to network more and get to know more people in the industry. Obviously kind of being around that area will really help. Then obviously start my family life in Arizona, try and get my own place, you know, go slowly with it, you know, trying to figure myself out, get a car, that kind of deal really. Then set up an apartment, and then search for small sound design jobs, you know, around Phoenix, probably doing some desks in, you know, churches and stuff, as I have a lot of experience in that. You know, doing some live sound would be fantastic, and hopefully joining some musicians to do that part-time as well. Then second year, start working as a sound designer again in my free time, having a little bit more work hopefully, getting myself more set up so people know who I am and, you know, ask for me, stuff like that. Save money to get some of my own sound recording equipment so I don't have to use other people's. So I have, maybe it'd be nice to someday get a studio, that'd be fantastic. Then start the entry-level human resources job, because it pays quite evenly, and, you know, the more time you work there, the more money you get, and it's a very good wage, and it's great to then save up the money to, you know, get that sound equipment and stuff like that. And then start looking into getting a HR certification, because, you know, the more certifications and different things you have, the better. And HR also will push over into producing, which I also enjoy doing as well, so it gives me a little bit more leeway. Save up money to start a business will be year 3, because I would really like to, you know, start a, you know, drone video business and some sound along with that, so that would be fantastic. Do some, you know, get drone certification and get a drone, that would be fantastic. My husband already has drone certification, so technically he can do it, but I'd have to teach him how to do film, so I'm good, I'll probably do it myself. Year 4, obtain a HR certificate, start, you know, my own aerial photography, film company, that kind of deal, get some sound going, hopefully finding some more sound jobs as well, as I'll be more situated by then. People hopefully will know who I am and how I work, and I'm hopefully easy to work with. And then in my last, in year 5, I've put work in like a higher HR job, so we have again some money coming in for this business, as it's going to be a part-time thing, and so it, you know, starts earning more than I earn as in HR, and hopefully, you know, move on to sound designing as a more permanent role if possible, you know, as I'd love to go into sound design and composing, as it's something I honestly truly enjoy. But yeah, so that's my plan, that was my research, hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I'm not actually there, but I had some appointments and stuff I unfortunately had to get to, but yeah, that's the general gist. Thank you very much, and see you later.